We're looking at Bryce Young right now. You're talking about among 32 quarterbacks with at least 250 attempts. His record is 2-16, worse than the NFL. 59.3% completion percentage, dead last. 173.4 passing yards per game. 31 of 32 quarterbacks. That's where he ranks. The only person that was worse dating back to last season is Kenny Pickett. Last in yards per attempt. Last in touchdown percentage. Last in passer rating. This is what we're talking about. And he's completed just 38% of his passes in his career with 1 touchdown and 5 interceptions when under pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, JaMarcus Russell wasn't even that bad. And you know how I felt about JaMarcus Russell.
He's an idiot.
The Stephen A. Smith curse was in full effect. Ever since Stephen A. Smith trashed Bryce Young has become a much improved quarterback in the NFL. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about how Bryce Young deserves patience and respect from the Panthers, with the Panthers beating the Falcons by the score of 30-27. The Panthers are now 6-4 on the season. In fact, the Panthers are now only half a game back from first place in the NFC South Division. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. Has Bryce Young done enough to quiet down his biggest critics? I believe so, at least for the current moment. Put that answer in pencil, not pen. When I think about what Bryce Young did for the Panthers yesterday, I saw a boy grow into a man, and what I saw from Bryce Young was, okay, this guy is finally starting to get what it takes to be a great NFL quarterback. A few years ago, the Panthers traded up a king's ransom to move up to the #1 overall pick to select Bryce Young. A lot of people criticized the move at the time, including myself. I was saying, why did the Panthers do all that to move up for Bryce Young? Even though Bryce Young has certainly had a lot of struggles in the NFL, you're starting to see why Bryce Young was considered a top prospect in the 2023 NFL draft. This man has elite football IQ, and he knows how to be clutch. 12 wins in his NFL career, yes, but 10 of those have been fourth quarter or overtime, come from behind wins, which tells me Bryce Young is one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the NFL in that time span. I understand Bryce Young may frustrate the heck out of people, but what I've learned over the years is, hey, if the game's close, Bryce Young is going to find a way to lead his team down for a game-winning drive, and that's exactly what he did yesterday. I want to give Bryce Young a lot of credit for how he is always mentally tough and always mentally ready to go in the biggest stages of a football game. He might have his physical limitations, but one thing you can't ever question about Bryce Young is his heart. Bryce Young might not have the biggest arm out there. He might not be the most accurate quarterback out there. He damn sure isn't the biggest quarterback out there. He's not a tall quarterback at all, but Bryce Young has great self-will and being able to make plays whenever it matters most. I told my buddies on Saturday that the Carolina Panthers were going to upset the Atlanta Falcons, and guess what? That's exactly what would happen. When I saw the spread line say the Atlanta Falcons were favored by 3.5, that was one of the easiest upset picks that I could have ever made in my lifetime, because I knew the Carolina Panthers were going to go in Atlanta and absolutely shock them, because Bryce Young has owned the Falcons for pretty much his entire career. With that win against the Falcons yesterday, Bryce Young is now 4-1 against the Atlanta Falcons all time, and not only is Bryce Young 4-1 against the Falcons, this man has managed to look great every time he has played against the Atlanta Falcons. Even in his rookie year, where Bryce Young was absolutely trash, he still managed to beat the Atlanta Falcons in one of those 2 wins. So of course I got to give Bryce Young a ton of credit. You also think about how Bryce Young had an excellent Week 18 game against the Falcons last year. Also add in the fact that the Panthers beat the Falcons by the score of 30-0 the first time those two teams played against each other. So obviously Bryce Young is doing something right against the Atlanta Falcons. I just wish Bryce Young would play like that against every other opponent, because Bryce Young has not really played good whatsoever throughout most of his time in the NFL. But against the Atlanta Falcons, this dude turns into prime Drew Brees. That I can appreciate, and I can certainly respect that. I don't like the Atlanta Falcons as a Carolina Panthers fan, so whenever we have a chance to sweep the Atlanta Falcons, I'm going to feel extra fired up. Now the Panthers are half a game back from first place in the NFC South Division. I also want to show you guys this clip of Bryce Young crediting his teammates and praising God for his work that the Panthers were able to do, especially in recent memory, and how they were able to come out victorious against the Falcons. He said this in the post-game interview. Roll the film.
Without him, I'm nothing. He's the reason for everything. So, all glory goes to him. And I just rally around my teammates. I'm super grateful to be a Panther, be part of this team. We're so resilient. We keep fighting. We always believe. We're always going to the next play. So just leaning on them is what got the job done.
There we go, Bryce Young. This is a real leader at the quarterback position right there. You can say a lot of things about Bryce Young, but one thing you can never question about with Bryce Young is his leadership. I question Bryce Young because I feel like he has a lot of physical limitations, and I also don't believe that he was just that good of a quarterback to be taken with the #1 overall pick. But shoot, when you're balling out against the Atlanta Falcons in the fashion that he did, you know what? I got to give Bryce Young a lot of credit and a lot of props. I know the Falcons aren't the greatest organization out there. In fact, they're a pretty crappy organization themselves, but at the end of the day, they're still an NFL team, and Bryce Young has managed to find a way to constantly own those guys. And you guys got to remember that the Falcons and Panthers, they're considered one of the bigger rivals in all of football. So whenever the Panthers have an opportunity to sweep the Falcons and it happens, of course I'm going to go ahead and gloat about it. That's the whole reason why you have divisions in the first place. With the Panthers being the Falcons, now you have to ask yourselves, can the Panthers actually win the NFC South division? I'm not going to say yes to that question, but if it happens, I would be ecstatic if that happened. The Panthers have 6 games left on their schedule. They have still yet to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If they can find a way to sweep the Buccaneers or at least split them, I like their chances of making the NFL playoffs this year. I know their schedule the rest of the way is pretty tough through, but at the end of the day, if you're the Carolina Panthers, the message has to be all about us. It's all about what do we control? What do we do during practices to ensure we are ready for game day? One thing that I didn't like about the Panthers last week against the Saints was that we came in woefully underprepared. That can't happen again. The Carolina Panthers have got to stay locked in at all times, and they got to remember to give 110% effort and preparation every single play, every single game, regardless of the opponent, regardless of the field, regardless of the situation. If the Carolina Panthers can just lock in and focus on themselves and getting better each and every week, they got a good chance to win at least 10 games this year. And with the way how the NFC South division is looking, 10 wins might be enough to win the NFC South division. I'm not going to say we're going to win 10 games, but if it happens, don't be surprised if it does. We have got to find a way how to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If we can do that, then I like our chances. Baker Mayfield is a hot and cold quarterback, and if we catch Baker Mayfield on a cold day, maybe the Carolina Panthers can surprise some people and beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which means guess what? We're going to be in the driver's seat to win the NFC South division. Obviously, the rest of the schedule is pretty tough, but I think the Panthers can find a way to surprise some people. You still got San Francisco left on the schedule. You still got the Los Angeles Rams. The Panthers have a Week 14 bye. They play the Saints, they play the Bucks, they play the Seahawks, and they play the Bucks again to close out the season. So like I said, it's all about the Panthers. It's all about what they can control, and if they can find a way to win a lot of those games, they're going to be in good shape come playoff time. I know it's a tough schedule, but at the end of the day, they're all NFL teams. The margin of error is pretty thin, so therefore, if we can catch some teams on bad days while we take care of business, then I like our chances of winning. I'm impressed with what Bryce Young did against the Atlanta Falcons. 31 of 45, 448 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He didn't turn the ball over, and he showed poise and command throughout the game. I like how Bryce Young was getting beat up in the pocket, but he was able to get back up every single time, and he was delivering strikes downfield. For Bryce Young to play the manner they did, credit to him for being able to stay mentally tough and locked in and finding a way for the Panthers to win, because Rico Dowdle didn't have himself a great game. 19 carries, 45 yards, but Bryce Young said, you know what, I'm going to carry my team on my back, and I'm going to make sure my Panthers find a way of winning this game, which is exactly what he did. Congrats to Bryce Young. So that is why Bryce Young has done enough to quiet down his biggest critics, as the Panthers are now 6-4 on the season with a realistic chance of winning the NFC South division this season. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I'm going to shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinNashTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinNashTran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinNashTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy Talking.